All right, let's get right into it. Think about most fantasy worlds you know. Their history is usually served up to you on a silver platter, right? A nice, clean timeline of kings, queens, big battles, all very neat. But the Elder Scrolls? It does something completely different, and honestly, way more interesting. It basically throws an entire library at you, full of conflicting stories, wild myths, and straight-up propaganda, and pretty much just says, here, you figure it out. So today we're going to dig into this idea, how a history that's literally written in lies can make a world feel more real than any other.
And I'm not kidding about that library. To even begin to understand the history of this place, you've got to read the books scattered around the world. And what you find is, well, it's a lot. You'll find these completely bonkers tales about the Daedric Prince of Badness.
Then you'll stumble across a political thriller that reads just like a spy novel. And then you might find something just genuinely bizarre and unsettling, like the Circus of Cheerful Slaughter. I mean, you can even find a whole 5-act play about a bunch of con artists. See what I mean? It's not one single cohesive history. It's this beautiful, absolutely chaotic mess of stories. And that's the whole magic of it, right? A world built on stories. The reason Tamriel feels so ancient, so real, isn't because its history is carved in stone. No way. It's because its past is this swirling vortex of biased accounts, competing myths, and flat-out contradictory reports. It basically treats its own history the same way we treat ours, as a collection of stories told by the winners, the losers, the heretics, and, yeah, the occasional madman.
So this brings us to a really cool storytelling concept, the unreliable narrator. You've probably heard of it. It's a character whose version of the story is, flawed or biased. Most stories might have one of these, but in the Elder Scrolls, almost everyone is an unreliable narrator. Seriously. Every single book you pick up, every scholar you talk to, even the ghosts you meet, they all have an agenda. They're all pushing their own version of the truth. And this isn't an accident. It's a core feature of the world's design. And check out this quote. It's from a character named Vivec, who is, well, he's a warrior poet, a literal living god, and maybe most importantly, a notorious liar. So when a guy like that tells you, the first meaning is always hidden, you should probably listen. This line is basically the unofficial motto for all of Elder Scrolls lore. It's telling you straight up, the truth isn't something you just read on a page. It's something you have to dig for, something you have to excavate from under layers and layers of lies. Okay, so to really see how this works in practice, let's zoom in on one single, absolutely world-shattering event, the Battle for Red Mountain. This isn't just some random skirmish. This is the cataclysmic event that shapes the entire world of Morrowind. Think of it as their ground zero. Everything comes back to what happened here.
So first, let's look at the official story. This is the version you'll hear from the ruling powers, the Temple. And it's simple, it's clean, it's very heroic. You've got the super advanced race, the Dwemer. You can think of them as the dwarves. And they commit the ultimate sin. They try to build their own god. So the noble hero Nerevar rallies his people, the Chimmer, to stop them. He leads them to a great victory at Red Mountain, but tragically dies from his wounds. It's a perfect story, right? A perfect founding myth for a new nation. But remember what our favorite liar, Vivec, told us? The first meaning is always hidden. So let's ask a question. What if our hero's noble, tragic death wasn't so tragic? What if it wasn't a battle wound that killed him? What if it was murder? And this, my friends, is where that clean, simple story just completely shatters.
All right, let's start looking at the evidence, shall we? On one hand, you have the official temple account. It says Nerevar consulted his top advisors, the very same people who would later become living gods. Sounds pretty standard. But then you find a forbidden text, a heretic's whisper, supposedly written by one of those same advisors. And this version claims they were chiding Nerevar for his naive trust and had to remind him of his duty. Does that really sound like a friendly chat between allies? Or does it sound a lot more like a prelude to a hostile takeover?
And just when you think you're getting your head around this murder mystery, bam, a completely different culture kicks the door in with their own totally different story. According to the Nords, this whole thing wasn't an elven civil war at all. For them, the battle was about their god, Shor, leading an army to get his stolen heart back from the Dwemer. The elves? They were just kind of there. They're basically just side characters in the Nords' own epic divine drama. So now we have 3 completely different stories.
But you know what's crazy? Nerevar's death isn't even the biggest mystery of the Battle of Red Mountain. Not by a long shot.
There's another much, much stranger puzzle. Because in the final moments of that battle, every single Dwemer, the entire race, everywhere on the planet, just vanished. Poof, gone. Instantly.
So, what happened? Where did an entire super advanced civilization just go? Well, the simple, honest-to-goodness answer is nobody knows. The games never give you a straight answer. Not a single one.
Instead of an answer, what you get is a whole buffet of conflicting theories from inside the world. One story says they actually succeeded, that they used a powerful divine artifact to elevate their entire race to godhood. Another one claims the gods got fed up with their hubris and just cursed them out of existence. And then there's a really chilling account from their former slaves, the Falmer, who basically say they just woke up one day ready for a revolt and found every single Dwemer city completely, utterly empty. So you're probably asking, what's the point of all this? All these contradictions, all these dead ends? Well, this is the real magic of the Elder Scrolls design. All those lies, all those cultural biases, they aren't plot holes. They're not mistakes. They are invitations. The game isn't asking you to just sit back and listen to a story. It's asking you to become a historian.
And here's the key takeaway. The lore isn't a script you're meant to read. It's more like an archaeological site you have to excavate. Those gaps, those missing pieces, are exactly what make the world feel so incredibly deep and ancient. Because it works just like our own ancient past, right? So much of it is lost forever. All we have are fragments, maybe some forgeries, and a bunch of competing stories from the people who are left. You're not just a player, you become a historical detective.
And all of this leaves us with one last really big question. The game is constantly making you do the work of a real historian. You have to weigh your sources, you have to judge people's motivations, and you have to decide for yourself which lies feel the most like the truth. And in doing that, it asks something that goes way beyond this fantasy world, something that applies right here to us. If history is just a story, who do you trust to tell it?